From the John DeVita Broadcast Center, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Armchair Experts with Jim Leon and Rich Massaro on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich on Thursday, April the 19th, the year 2018. And now here they are, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and a little frost on the lips because of the weather, Jim and Rich.
Nothing like a frost on our pumpkins. There you go.
Yeah.
We were having a little too loud on that one.
No. This let me see.
We were having
this other headset to work because these first two, John, are.
We were having a discussion about the fact that Rich has a buzz on here this morning.
Man, everything is goofy with these things.
20 after 11, and he shows up late. Makes me wonder what he was doing. I can hear you fine.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here we are again. There's no baseball. The game has been postponed. This is Wednesday morning as we're taping.
Oh, they postponed the Cubs game already?
They've already postponed the Cubs game. They're going to play it tomorrow afternoon. That's, 5 postponements?
This has been a terrible spring.
It's been and it's feeling like it's going to be one of those typical Chicago springs. It'll last about an hour and 27 minutes, and then the next day it'll be 95 degrees.
I see that, was it Cleveland played somebody in Puerto Rico last night?
Really?
Yeah, there was a game in Puerto Rico last night that was scheduled, obviously scheduled beforehand.
Okay.
Yeah, the Indians played, I don't know who they were playing, but
really?
It's in there. It's in there. It should be in the Sun Times.
Let's see.
It should be on the right, all the way on the right, where it says Lindor hits home run to win game.
Oh.
Lindor, unless that, I'm not sure what.
No, I see. I don't know. Today is Wednesday, right?
Today is Wednesday.
Yeah.
Let me see that for a minute.
Cleveland played Minnesota.
Okay, I'm pretty sure.
The Real Muto. No, that's the Yankee game. Is that the Yankee game? No, that's the Marlins game. Yeah. Well, anyhow, everybody's.
Let me see that for a second.
All right.
But, go ahead. But they played. I know that they played the game in Puerto Rico last night, and you know what? This is a different edition of the paper than what I had.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. But the Indians played a game in Puerto Rico last night. I think did you say it was the Twins they played?
Yeah.
Yeah. Francisco Lindor hit a home run in his homeland there in Puerto Rico. So
okay.
But you have a different edition. I thought this. I actually didn't think the paper printed different editions, but Jim Kelly had a different edition. He might have had this one this morning.
This is the Sports Final.
But then when I bought the paper, it did have a little something about the game in Puerto Rico. So
this is the 5-star Sports Final on the Sports Sun Times.
Okay.
And I looked in the Tribune this morning. I get the Tribune online, and I didn't read everything closely this morning.
Yeah.
So,
Andy Ronstadt thinks they should stay in spring training and play games in Arizona and Florida. Wouldn't be a bad idea.
Wouldn't be a bad idea at all. I think, and even Anthony Rizzo says wouldn't mind shortening the season a little bit.
Yeah, he must have got some heat from the Major League Baseball Players Association because he sort of dialed back. And he said about 10 times in the paper today, well, it's just my opinion. My opinion, I play first base. That's my little lane over there. And my opinion only. It was my opinion.
Yeah, just my opinion.
Just his opinion.
But, I can't remember.
I remember Santos saying that way back when. He said, hey, we should only play on weekends. I think he caught a lot of garbage for that,
You're going to say something else.
Yeah.
This has been a weird spring. I can't remember anyone quite like this.
Yeah, I'm not going to make any excuses for the Cubs, but I could see where you don't get any type of a rhythm going, and the weather is just absolutely god awful. And you come out of spring training with nice temperatures, and you're ready to go, and all of a sudden you're freezing.
Yeah, I mean you come out, you're hot hitters, the bats get cold, the pitchers can't pitch.
Yeah,
and. Although you sit there and wonder, you know what? I mean, it's 15 games. They're 7 and 8, and you got people you got people out on the ledge.
Just look at the other divisions. Look at what the Dodgers are doing. Yeah. Look what the Nationals are doing. I mean, if that's the if you're going to jump off the bridge because of that, the Dodgers are below 500. The Nationals, I think, are below 500.
Dodgers are 6-9 right now, 5 games behind Arizona. The Nationals are 500, 4 games behind the Mets. A lot of people say the Mets might be for real this year because this is the first time in a couple of years they've actually had
their pitching,
healthy pitching.
Yeah. Although the Nationals just beat them 2 games in a row. So they jump up on them a little bit. I still think the Nationals will probably be the team in that division.
I really think so, too. And I think eventually when everything sifts out, it's probably going to be the Cubs.
Yeah, well, you know what,
I'm not getting concerned over 15 games.
No, but I think the problem with the Cubs, and it's the problem would be the same whether it was the year they won the World Series or this year, is I'm thinking one of the reasons you see such spotty hitting, one game you double figures and then the next 2 almost nothing, is you got to look at that lineup, and it's not a good thing when I count 3 for sure and maybe 5 guys who are going to strike out over 100 times.
Oh yeah.
Because you've got. I
haven't even done any sort of number crunching yet to kind of project out. You've got Contreras, who's struck out a dozen times in 52 at bats.
Mm-hmm.
You got
Baez.
Schwarber, who struck out 15 times in 42 at bats. This is stats through Monday. Doesn't include last night's game, which.
Mm-hmm.
Which they didn't even update because I'm still looking at this. They didn't even have the final score of last night's game in this edition of the Sun-Times. You've got Happ, who struck out 22 times and 45 at bats, and Baez 13 times and 47 at bats, which I never thought he'd be the one that would be under control. And Bryant
in there.
Bryant 8 times in 54 at bats. He seems to be getting more under control, and I know he cut his strikeout rate down last year.
Yeah, but again, they're good players. I'm not suggesting anything drastic be done, but I think you're going to have these peaks and valleys as far as the hitting goes.
One of the things, and I started to think about it, and actually there was an article in Sporting News, not Sporting News, Sports Illustrated that I've got at home.
Was it about BABIP?
Yeah, well, BABIP was in there, but we were talking about exit velocity and, angle, and everybody swinging up on the ball. And everybody just, what happened to the bunt in this? The swing to the opposite base hit to the opposite field.
Jim, one of the things that irks me, and I know it shouldn't irk me because it's fair, it's all part of the game, but several of the Cubs' better hitters have big shifts on them when they come to the plate.
I know.
And you see,
are we going through a phase, or is this?
No, but see, I think what I want to talk about a little bit is what you're talking about. I was watching the Sox and the A's the first night they were in Oakland, and I think it was Matt Joyce that leads off for Oakland, and the Sox had an extreme shift on him. I mean, the third baseman was very close to second. The other 3 infielders were on the right field side. And I'm thinking, man, he doesn't even have to put down a good bunt, to be on base. And this morning...
But do they? No.
No. And here's the thing. The prevailing thinking is you don't want Rizzo or Bryant or whoever bunting. But my point would be this. Say it's football or basketball, and they're running a certain defense against you. You have to do something to make them get out of that defense if it's effective. So you do something to make them react. Okay, I get it. You don't want Rizzo to bunt. You don't want Bryant necessarily to bunt. But you know what? Yes, bunt, because once you do it a couple times, they're not going to be able to put that shift on you anymore.
They're going to think about
it. They're going to have to react to it. And it's going to have to open things up for you.
Or,
to me, it makes what you're saying makes total sense.
Or learn how to hit to the opposite field.
Yeah, well, that's easier said than done.
True.
That's some guys just are not going to be able to do that. The one guy who probably can do it because it's his natural tendency is Schwarber.
Mm-hmm.
Schwarber will go the other way with the ball more often than the other guys that we named. Bryant, Rizzo. Rizzo is especially a pull hitter. Bryant will spray the ball around, but I don't think he tries to shoot it to the right side. If he goes with the pitch,
what's the best way as a batter? If you're a natural pull hitter to go to the opposite field, you shift your feet a little bit. You open your stance, change your stance a little.
Well, I think that's where the tricky part is. You have to time it so that you. The best way I put it, I don't know if it's a good description. You shoot it. I mean, you swing a little later so that you're shooting the ball to the so that you're catching the ball where you're going to hit it to the opposite field. At least there's not enough time in league ball, I don't think, to shift your feet. I mean, like you say, you could open your stance up. But I think your idea is the best one. Lay a couple of bunts down. The Cubs have a potent lineup. It doesn't really matter if, say, Rizzo lays the ball down and gets on base because you got some good hitters coming up, guys who can do some damage coming up after him, or Bryant or whatever. To me, I just say, hey, listen. We're not going to let you do this anymore. We're going to take advantage of it. We're going to lay the ball down. That's the simplest way to do it. And even a half swing, Jim. I mean, a half swing to the where you make that guy on the left side of the infield, move to his right, and maybe have to backhand the ball and try to throw you out. You're going to beat it out. That's the way I see it. It's aggravating. I remember years ago, I think it was Bob Bragg. I think it was right around that time where they lowered the pitcher's mound when the pitchers that year that
68, I think that
68, the year of the pitcher. One of his ideas, which I liked, and I don't think it's too invasive into the game, is he thought, and he was talking about the outfielders, but you could do it for the infielders, that the outfielders would have to start with in a certain area. In other words, you might put a circle out there. That's where they have to start defensively. And then more balls would find holes in the outfield. And you could do that. I don't think they will ever do it, even though they're messing big time with the game, in my opinion. And I'm jumping all over the place here, but I happened to watch, I think it was a night that the Sox were supposed to be in Minnesota, got snowed out, and they broadcast the game from Charlotte. Kopech was pitching.
That would have been interesting.
And the announcers were talking.
Geez, I hate tax season. I miss all this stuff.
Yeah, it was they played in the evening. I mean, I think it was. Yeah. I think it was live. And then the announcers were talking. I guess they've adopted the rule for the minor leagues to put the runner on second base.
Yeah, let's talk about that one later.
And we can talk about that. But I guess why I segued into that is that to me is big time messing with the game.
Yeah,
putting a circle in the outfield and making the center fielder and the other position players start from a certain spot is doing something that hasn't been done, but not really, in my opinion, tinkering that much with it. I mean, when you start putting guys on second base, in extra innings, that's way out of line.
Yeah, because that was something. I know they're doing that in the minor leagues. You go into extra innings, you start with a runner on second, and he's there. It does not affect. I think it's. I can't even remember. Is it charged as an error? Is that the reason to keep the scoring in balance? I know that if the runner scores, it's not an earned run.
It's not an earned run, but it's still a loss for the pitcher.
It's still a loss for the pitcher.
Yeah, it's totally bogus.
And then okay, you get your runner in. You got a 1-run lead. I assume then the home team starts with a runner on second base too.
Yeah, that's one thing. I
think it has
got to be.
It's got to be. It's got to be. It's like overtime in college football. Where do they start? Well, both teams start at the 20.
Why? Why is the runner? Here's the whole. What is the thinking on this? The runner is going to start at second base, because what you're telling me by doing that is it would be too obvious to put him at third. But you're telling me You just want to make this game as short as possible.
Right.
And, you know, the announcers did make some good points. They said with the amount of pitchers that are being used by major league teams, that they don't want minor league pitchers to have to go 17, 18-inning games where you use the whole bullpen, because a lot of times these guys are going to be called by the major league team, and you want them to be ready. So I get that on an intellectual level, I guess you could say. But in my heart, I'm saying this is not baseball. Okay, this is not what you know. What and to me, in a sense, I
give
think
everyone a participation trophy.
Yeah, I think you're taking away from the fans. You know, not everybody wants to sit and watch a 17, 18-inning game, but there are a lot of people who do sit and watch a whole 17, 18-inning game because they are fans. Either that or they've been overserved, one of the two, but they stay.
Been there.
And, you know.
Been there, done that, had the game explained to me.
But, I just don't see it as being baseball. I mean, even, I want to say maybe in girls' 12-inch softball.
The first time I heard it,
I think they may do that.
It was in relation to a girls' softball game.
Yeah, I think they do it in high school.
Either in high school or college.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the first time I heard that. Put the runner on second base, and I'm okay.
Yeah, I don't like it even there. To be honest with you, it does. To me, it makes no sense. Does it make any sense to you?
No,
I'm talking. You know.
You know what? And the other things that I'm still not understanding, and I don't know if it's, you know, some of the ideas and things that have been put in practice already. The intentional walk in the major leagues. Well, you know, okay, fine. It doesn't save much time.
No, not at all.
But I always thought it was really one of the dumbest things, you know, throw 4 balls outside.
It is, but the idea would be, it almost came into play and I'm not going to be able to recall the exact scenario, but when the Cubs played the Indians in the World Series, and I think the Cubs were on defense, one of the Cubs pitchers came close to throwing a wide one wild.
Yeah, I remember that. I think it was.
And
I almost want to say it might have been Lester.
Yeah, I don't know who it was, but and we could go. You know, I know Joe Adcock. I know I didn't see it, but I know that
the story
that he hit
reached across the plate,
across and hit it out of the park.
No, Joe Adcock was also 6'5".
He was a big guy. I also remember was a very well-known play in the Reds A's series, in this one of them in the 70s, where I think the batter might have been Johnny Bench, and they were I think he already had a count on him of 2 strikes. But there was 3 balls, and the A's looked like they were going to throw. You know, okay. Let's not mess with them. We'll put them on with the 4th one, and the catcher ducked back in. They threw the pitch.
He
took a called 3rd strike. So there have been instances where, you know, the 4-pitch intentional walk has turned into a play. You know, not just a wide pitch. And, I'm getting used to seeing them doing that, but I agree. It doesn't save much time. And you know what? Critical errors are made sometimes. So
yeah, and I mean, okay, you're limiting the number of mound visits. I don't know what that'll do. You'd have to tell me. But, you know, the thing that adds the most time to this is how many pitching changes you're going to have.
Well, Jim, let's say this though. Why is Major League Baseball considering this at all? I think they've been breaking attendance records left and right through the years, and so why all of a sudden do you take the game the way it's played naturally and try to speed it up? And the things they're doing to speed it up aren't really doing anything major anyway.
All right, what would you do to speed the game up?
I wouldn't speed it up.
I
don't think it's needs to be sped up.
Okay.
I don't like all the pitching changes.
No.
I don't. The biggest thing that's making the game go longer is the use of the bullpen.
Yeah.
So as long as that's going to be the way the game's played, you're not going to speed it up much.
Yeah, I'm shocked to look at box scores from yesterday and see two games where pitchers actually went in and pitched the seventh inning.
Yeah,
the Rangers game, their starter went 7. Rockies and the Pirates, the Rockies starter went 7 1/3. He actually went into the 8th. Holy cow.
I think you had a complete game shutout yesterday, too. It was a 1-0 game. Can't remember who was involved there, but, yeah, I think unless that was a late game, I think there was a complete game shutout pitched yesterday.
Wow.
So, yeah, but the 5-star sports final, I must have got a 6-star sports final.
You must have got
all of this stuff was
You must
in
have
there.
got a sports. You must have got a final sports final.
Yeah.
Oh.
But there was a I think a 1-0 complete game. The guy had a one-hitter or no-hitter going into the 8th and ended up with a one-hitter. I can't remember who it was.
Or was that the other day? Bartolo.
No, I know Cologne.
I know Cologne had a perfect game going.
Came
Was that over the weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
But this was last night. So
okay.
At any rate, who was it? In fact, talking about pitchers going long, I saw Ronaldo Lopez in the paper today. Was talking about going as long as he could, and I think he's done at least 6 and then maybe 7 in his 3 starts, and talked about going as deep into the game as he possibly could. I sort of like that attitude. So
Sox fans have got to be getting. I think some of them are.
They're regretting the rebuild.
They're regretting the rebuild because they're looking at some of this and going, "Can somebody catch the ball? Can somebody field the ball?"
Jim, I don't know if I said this on the show, but I've said this more than once. I think I did say it on the show. People were really enthusiastic about the Sox, but if you look at the article about the Sox in today's paper, one of them, because there was 2 right toward the end of the paper, they talk. The writer, who was I think it was Steve Greenberg, talks
too
about
many problems to focus on.
Yes, and you know what? One of the problems has been they're not catching the ball. I think they had 3 or 4 errors yesterday. Tim Anderson has had errors 2 consecutive games. Got picked off twice in the last week, only he got saved by a controversial replay.
Right.
They're not tightening up their act. And I found it interesting. The 3 guys who committed errors that they named in the paper were 3 of the guys I talked about as being possibly weak links defensively: Anderson, Abreu, and Garcia.
And I think they're still trying to figure out whether Anderson is really a shortstop.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think they think he's a short because there's going to be no room for him in the outfield. So he better be a shortstop.
He better be a shortstop. But
yeah,
I wonder down the road if there's another position for him.
But overall, they're mediocre at best defensively. Their pitching is not really good. And
last in baseball in fielding.
Yeah. And they're the other thing is it's a deadly combination: defense, pitching, and lack of clutch hitting. I think they were like 3 for 47 or something with runners in scoring position going into last night's game.
Oof.
So
and they got beat soundly again last night.
Yeah, I mean they got jumped on right from the get-go. 5 runs in the first by the A's, who are not walk in the park themselves.
No. Mm-mm.
And I noticed that he got brought up and started a game immediately. It was Trevor Cahill who started against him last night.
Mm-hmm.
Although when I saw that Trevor Cahill was in the minors with the A's, I'm thinking, how can he not be on their pitching staff? Because he's not a bad pitcher.
He's not a bad pitcher. He had, when he was here, he looked pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, no.
Let's see, any other transactions that jump off?
Nothing. Yeah. I don't think anything super big.
No.
Real Muto came off the DL.
Yeah, came off
had a big game.
He had a big game. Any other transactions? Bears signed Bryce Callahan.
Yeah.
It seems like draft mock drafts are becoming a cottage industry. Everybody's doing one. We should get in on that. Do our own mock draft.
I was thinking about mock drafts, Jim, and I was actually thinking about the NBA draft, which is not for a while, but
sometime in June.
I saw that I think it was the Sun-Times reporter was going gaga because we might either get looked like we could get Michael Porter or I can't remember the other guy, or Michael Bridges, I think, from Villanova. And I'm like, did you actually see Michael Porter play? And I mean, you're talking about drooling over a guy who played 2 college games.
I was going to say,
career,
wasn't
and
he
didn't really play him that well?
Wasn't he injured all year?
Got hurt in the first game he played. Yeah, came back and played in the tournament.
Yeah,
I watched happened to see part of the tournament game he played in. They had a montage of his
both
faux pas.
I thought both his good plays.
Well, that would have been a lot shorter than all of his bad plays. So, and I'm thinking, this is the guy that you're talking about. This is the guy that you're salivating over. So, what it made me think of, Jim. Jim Kelly and I were having coffee at the time when Derrick Rose and who was the other guy that was the big there was 2 guys there that were the top 2 guys. Rose was one, and there was a forward who I think is still in the NBA but never really made it big. I want to say he was from Kansas State or something. Anyway, he won't come to mind, but we would talk back and forth who would be the best one for the Bulls to draft. And actually, they got the better one in terms of what little career he had. I mean, Derrick Rose was good for 2 or 3 years. The other guy was never good at all. So what I was going to ask...
Derrick Rose got hurt in a game he shouldn't have been in at that point.
What I was going to ask is what would be a better question than a mock draft is, of these guys who are being drafted, who is actually going to turn out to be a significant player when you look 10 years down the road. And, because they make such a big deal of the draft, who's going to get drafted and blah, blah. Who actually are the guys? Let me ask you this. One of the better players in the league right now is the Greek kid in Milwaukee. Now, I'm sure he was drafted, but was anybody saying, oh, my God, you got to get that guy? He's like a lot. I'll tell you one thing. He was not a lottery pick.
No.
And he ends up to be one of the better players in the NBA. So how do you really even tell?
Where did he go? I can't even remember. Did he go to school, or was he drafted from overseas? I can't even remember.
Might have been. I don't remember.
Giannis, and I can't say his last name.
Yeah, it's hard to say his last name. Yeah. I think he might have played overseas.
All right, so he's had some experience coming into the league already. Played at a somewhat higher level of competition than college.
Sure. Yeah. But I guess my point is, it's very hard to tell. Okay, I don't know if Russell Westbrook was a lottery pick, a good player in college.
Yeah.
But who knew? I mean, he's a star now.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant. Now he was a lottery pick, and he looked really good in college, and he made it. But who was the guy? Who was the other guy who looked like he was really ready and never made it because of injuries? The big center from Ohio State.
Oh. Yeah,
whose name
escapes me too.
Escapes me because he never did make it.
Good Lord.
Those 2 guys look like.
Good Lord, we're getting old. We can't remember names like this.
Yeah.
Coming up on the bottom of the hour, Mr. DeVita, if you want to take a break, is that okay with you? Is that okay with you? Oh, I guess so. He's playing the music.
You're listening to Armchair Experts from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Nords and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Thursday, April the 19th, the year 2018. And this is Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norridge, Illinois. And now back to Armchair Experts with Jim Leon and Rich Massaro.
As we kind of flounder about because we can't remember names.
Yeah, I think his name was Greg something.
Oh, Greg Odom.
Greg Odom.
Greg Odom. Thank you. I needed a little.
When I watched college games, whatever year they came out, I thought, man, this Durant looks good, and Odom looked good too. But Odom never really made it because of injury. So it's I just say, it's like today's great thing. 2 years down the road is not such a great thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's really hard to tell.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I'd have to go back and look at the NBA draft and.
Well, talking about the draft though, because since you brought up and we got the NFL draft coming up, what are you thinking now as things are getting closer? What do you think the Bears are going to do?
There's two things. First of all, Quentin Nelson, I don't think is going to be there at 8.
Probably not.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears try to draft down, or trade down rather. Because the one thing, you don't have a pick in the 3rd round. You have 2 picks in the 4th round.
Mm-hmm.
Trade down, and maybe pick up a 1st and a 3rd, obviously. Somebody else, and I think it was Bears Meatball call that I heard over the weekend. If a quarterback's available, take a quarterback and bundle them together and trade down with.
Bundle them together and trade down.
What's your draft pick and trade down? I can't see that. You know what? I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at a couple of things here. Just glancing at a couple of the articles. The one today, as they were spotlighting the players available at cornerback. The Bears' needs are kind of medium on that.
Yeah.
Although you've got some good prospects.
Thank you, Jen.
You've got some good prospects in Denzel Ward and Josh Jackson and
real good prospects.
Isaiah Oliver. They might be, you might have some people available in the 2nd round for there.
That's true.
I think it's going to be obviously it's going to be a very quarterback heavy 1st round.
That's what they keep saying. Although I have to say, I saw Sam Darnold play. I don't know if it was a bowl game and you can't tell by one game, but he looked okay to me. But he didn't look great. I think they lost the game. And they say Darnold and Rosen are definitely like 1-2. Although the Browns could conceivably draft another player and still get a quarterback.
Oh yeah,
because now didn't they signed RG3, but who else do they have another quarterback though, don't they? That trying to think who they have.
I don't know. It's hard to keep track of Browns quarterbacks. Geez, we should have actually prepared for today.
Who cares? We don't care about that.
I feel like we're floundering today.
But you got what's his name, Josh Allen from Wyoming. You got Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
and then there's got to be a 5th. There's 5 quarterbacks they've been talking about. So who the other one is, I don't know.
Yeah. Should the Bears, if it's available? Obviously, they don't since they signed Allen Robinson and some of those others. There isn't quite the need as it was at wide receiver, but if he's available, what about Calvin Ridley?
In the 1st round?
Yeah.
I did see, they haven't been talking about him too much, but I did see where Nagy said that you can't have too many wide receivers.
No.
And they did sign Fowler.
Fowler, yeah.
And then I think they have 5 guys they invited for this mini camp. One of them, I want to say the guy's name is Pollard. He's got some experience. If you look at the next page, turn your page, Jim, because there's a Bears article on the next page. I think all the way down on your right, all the way down on your right, you should see them mention the 5 names.
Yeah, this is.
You don't. Okay, you don't have another article about.
No.
You don't.
Boy, you got an interesting. You must have had an interesting paper this morning.
They named the 5 guys. Okay. One of them's a wide receiver.
Okay.
Played with the Ravens, I think, a little bit. And he's got the most experience of the guys. They have actually 2 Nick Williams that they signed or that they brought in. One's a defensive end. The other's, I think, a receiver as well.
They refer to they refer to Kevin White as the wild card in the whole thing.
Definitely.
Because if he can actually produce, that's like found money.
It is. No question.
And I know everybody else is going to appreciate the fact that if Tanner Gentry gets a shot.
Tanner Gentry is there, I think, because of Trubisky. I think they really connected in the preseason, and I think he's still. But I actually think the guy can catch the ball, so you never know.
Yeah.
But it's good that good. I think they're talking about keeping at least 3 tight ends. Sims is going to be back, and then they brought in Burton, and of course you have Shaheen.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They've kept more than 3 in the past, but I don't know if you're going to see that this year. This guy seems to really want to go wide receiver heavy, and
you
don't have the article in there either. I don't know what happened to your paper, John, but they had an article about Jordan Howard, and Jordan Howard, Nagy answered the question about whether Howard fits into his offense, and Jordan Howard. Nagy said, well, no, Jordan Howard's got some really good strengths at running back, and we'll play to his strengths. And we also have Tariq Cohen, who's got other abilities, so we're going to try to play to our guys' strengths, is basically what he said.
Okay.
How did you miss half the paper there, Jim? John, did you take something out of the paper to align the birdcage or something?
I don't know. I go from page 40 to 41, and I go... I don't know.
Which day are you looking at? You got 2 papers going there.
I got. Here's Wednesdays. Here.
Well, turn the page on Wednesday.
Here. Oh, is that the article you're talking about?
No. Okay. Yeah. Marlon Brown is the receiver from the Ravens. Okay, and then the next page should be, article about running back Jordan Howard.
Okay, all right. Yeah, all right, I was looking at the wrong day.
What a wonderful coach Nagy is, even though he's never coached had coached a pro football game in his life. So,
all right, I got to the Tribune here now.
Okay.
And their article, their concern today, some of their thoughts were edge rushers.
Oh, that's the other thing. I don't think they have any of those.
No. I mean, you've lost Young and McPhee. You need somebody else to pair with Leonard Floyd.
Right, if he even stays healthy.
If he stays healthy.
And who the heck do they have? Besides, they did sign a guy that played, that Fangio knew from the Niners. He was sort of an iffy guy. He's an outside linebacker. I can't think of who it was, though. It's been, and this is within the last couple of weeks, I'd say. So I don't know who I wasn't familiar with him, but it did say he was with the 49ers when Fangio was here. So was there, is what I meant.
A couple of the options that they talk about here as far as edge rushers.
Go ahead.
Hold on, let me. Okay, they talk about Bradley Chubb from NC State. Mel Kiper, the man with the most perfect hair in football press, has Chubb is arguably the top player in the draft.
Really? Who was the guy who was the top player in the draft last year? He went to the Browns. He was another edge rusher. I think he did fairly well. Can't think of his name.
Okay. Most draft boards have Chubb being selected before the Bears pick at number 8.
I'm sure if he's the best player in the draft, somebody's going to take him.
Here's the thing that's kind of intriguing, and it will make me wonder what happens to the rest of the draft. If the Giants, who are picking 2, right? They're picking second.
Yeah, I think so.
If they don't pick Eli Manning's successor with the quarterbacks and decide to take a running back like Barkley from Penn State, it's very intriguing because what sort of shuffling is going to happen going down the rest of the way?
And they might very well do that because who did the Giants have a new coach, right? They fired the old coach. And I had read somewhere where it's a possibility that he feels that Eli Manning still got gas in the tank and isn't. I don't know, what is Eli, about 31 maybe?
No.
How old is he?
No, I think Eli Manning's 37. 37.
No way. No way is he that old.
I think so.
Are you sure?
I think so.
Okay. But what I thought I had heard is that he was going to go with Manning, and maybe they had other needs there. I know that Manning has he wasn't too happy when they benched him last year.
No.
Because I think he still thinks he's got gas left in the tank.
I think he does too. He still feels that too. Another intriguing one is, what if suddenly Tom Terrific in New England says, you know what, I've had enough.
Well, it'll be interesting to see who New England drafts, because I got a feeling they're going to draft a quarterback, and usually their take on things is a lot different than most of the other teams. I was watching. I don't watch too much sports talk on TV, but I happened to see part of a show one day where the two announcers, one of them was really worried because the Patriots had lost Malcolm Butler and the big offensive tackle, Matt, can't think of his last name.
Eli Manning is 37 years old.
37, okay.
January 3rd, 1981.
Okay.
Seems like he should be only about 31.
No, well, I mean, the couple Super Bowls they won, though, that he's been around for a while.
Yeah, 2004, so...
at any rate, though, I think the Patriots may end up with a quarterback.
I think so too.
I don't. You know what? I hate to say it, because my opinion of Tom Brady overall has been positive, but it really makes me shake my head as to why they let Garoppolo go, especially after seeing Garoppolo perform and play well. Especially since he's. I watched him play the Bears, and I know the Bears were no great shakes. But now, a bunch of no-name receivers, a bunch of guys who had not done well up to that point, and all of a sudden, you add a quarterback named Garoppolo, and these guys looked a whole lot better. So to me, I know it's a small sample, but he looked like the real deal to me. And I just don't understand why New England would let him go. I mean, I know they would have had to pay for him, and they couldn't probably pay for him and really then be able to pay for what other things they need. So that's probably part of it.
Yeah.
Damn it, though, why couldn't the Bears get him? I don't care who, how good they think Trubisky is. I would have loved to see the Bears get him.
Going back to the comments in this article about the edge rushers here, obviously everyone thinks Bradley Chubb is going to be there. Is probably the best, but whether he's available at number 8, that remains to be seen. Some of the intriguing options that they refer to here, and it's nothing really positive when I read the comments here, that Marcus Davenport from Texas San Antonio. One says he's worth a look because Davenport has the ability to develop into a freak off the edge. Had 8.5 sacks and 17.5 tackles for a loss and 3 forced fumbles last year. But he's still raw, and there's some questions about how he'll perform against elite-level competition. Some analysts say he needs to develop more pass rush moves and better instincts and be quicker off the ball. Okay, sounds like a project.
Mm-hmm.
Arden Key, worth a look. 12 sacks, 14.5 tackles for a loss, and 3 forced fumbles. As a sophomore in 2016, before numerous issues hindered him in 2017.
Numerous issues, yes.
Numerous issues. The red flags from Key's final season at LSU make him a riskier pick than others. He missed last season for personal reasons. Last spring, rather, for personal reasons, and had off-season shoulder surgery. Harold Landry, worth a look. Again, 16.5 sacks, 22 tackles for a loss.
He's the Boston College.
College, yes. But his playmaking dwindled in 2017, due in part to an ankle injury, and only finished with 5 sacks. The sleeper, Shaquem Griffin from Central Florida. One of the best stories in the draft. Despite having his left hand amputated as a child, he rose to have 2 big years at UCF, where he totaled 18.5 sacks and 33.5 sacks or tackles for a loss. A late invitee to the combine, he ran a 4.38 40-yard dash and did 20 reps at 225 pounds on the bench press with a prosthetic hand. He played safety and linebacker in college. NFL teams will have questions about Griffin's physical limitations and his exact fit on a defense, considering he would be very undersized as a pass rusher. He's only 6'1".
So was
6'1" and 227 pounds.
Oh,
don't quote me, some guy from the 50s.
Put it this way, Dwight Freeney was not even 6 feet.
Yeah.
So, but I would say maybe if the guy is, if he's athletic enough, maybe he's a guy that you can move around. If you know, a guy like Fangio might be able to find a way to use a guy like that and not have, if 6'1" is really a drawback, have that come into play.
Yeah, I don't know.
The guy that I was interested in, because I think they say he'll still go in the first round, but later is Landry. Is he good enough though to take at number 8? And maybe that's where your idea of maybe trading down, because there's two names that pop into my mind with the idea of trading down. One is McGlinchey, and the other would be Landry. You have an edge rusher or you have an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
So I would, it's a tricky thing. I mean, the other thing that nobody talks about this, I don't think, Jim, unless I'm missing something, which it could be. I don't listen to that much of this stuff. But who is the guy that actually, you could say, makes the guys who are his teammates, who actually is the guy who makes them better? I always use the example of Phil Daniels, who was a very good player for the Bears, but he came from the Seahawks, and I'm pretty sure that the year that the Bears signed him, the previous year, the Seahawks had all four of their front four guys with double-digit sacks. So Daniels was a good, solid football player. He did good work for the Bears, but he was never close to a double-digit sacker.
Mm-hmm.
The reason he was a double-digit sacker is because of who he played next to or somebody that was playing near him on the defensive line. It's not a put-down of that particular player or any player, but now who was the shaker and mover on that defensive line that enabled everybody else to look better? And if you can identify a guy like that, regardless of position, that's the type of guy you want. Who's going to make everybody's level of play go up?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what I saw with Garoppolo when I saw him play with the Niners. All of a sudden, everybody on the Niners offense, at least, was playing better. That's huge.
The going back to what you were talking about earlier about Jordan Howard. Just looking at the Tribune, Brad Biggs article, it's basically Nagy saying that Howard's role will be determined by Howard, but he will be the featured back.
Right.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
No, it's good. And see, all of this stuff, though, Jim, is good in theory, and I think that the coaches really genuinely mean it when they say it. But it's also predicated on how much you have your hands on the ball. You need to control the ball to make all of these things happen. Yeah. And when you're 3 and out, and then you're down by 14 points, probably most of them aren't going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's everything sounds good in theory, and you draw it up on the chalkboard, so they say, and everything's perfect. But then the game happens, and all your plans can go have a tendency to fly out right out the window.
Get into the way.
Yeah,
get in the way. Everybody seems to be raving about Nagy and his the way he's connecting with the players, and the way he's even connecting with the press.
Well, the press really didn't like Fox at all.
Well, Fox never said anything.
Fox, and even in the article about Nagy here, whoever wrote it, I can't remember who wrote it, but
David Howe.
the guy in the Sun Times though also made mention of the fact that he wasn't condescending at all. So obviously they felt Fox was condescending to them, and didn't give them much information to boot.
Lovey, so that was Lovey was more condescending.
Well, you know what? Nagy is starting out good, but I mean, depending on how things go, you never know. He may get condescending as well. You know, you can only hear so much blah 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 before you get tired of it. And I don't know. You know what? I'll tell you what. I'm not going to jump back to baseball, but when you see a guy like Joe Madden be able to continually answer and be civil with some of the things that he's presented with, my hat's off to the guy, because I couldn't do it myself.
You talk about the way he is with the press. I'm looking at David Howe's column, and one thing here. Words mean nothing without actions, and Nagy obviously needs to win to be popular, but boy, what a breath of fresh air at Hallis Hall. Fox was combative and never respected the way perception shaped his reality. Mark Trestman was too eccentric to be effective in front of his players. Lovie Smith offered more substance than style, a guy who had to leave to be fully appreciated, but never enjoyed the public aspects of his job. In the same chair now sits Nagy, smart and sincere, full of energy, and without a hint of insecurity detected so far during his football honeymoon.
Yeah, well, he's still way into the honeymoon.
He's still into the honeymoon period. You know, you lose your first 4 games, somebody's going to start to.
Yeah. That's when you really, if you think your philosophy or your approach to the game is good, that's where you really have to make a choice and say, okay, because he said in the Sun Times article today, he wants to start winning immediately. So he's already put that on himself. And to be honest with you, Jim, I mean, I want to be optimistic, but I'll be honest. Now the Bears may have a better looking offense, but defense, which was their strength last year, I think may be spotty this year, because there are just, you just mentioned outside. We
edge
lost
rushers.
Okay, I know that McPhee and Young, I think it was a salary thing and an age thing.
Yeah.
But at least when they were there, they were solid players, I would say. I mean, that meant they were not world beaters, but they were good, and you could put them in and play them, and they'd make some plays. I just think right now, I read, I think the Sun Times has had a 10-part thing on the draft. The other day it was the defensive line. They named Hicks. They named Goldman. Unrein's gone, and I don't remember who else they said that was gone. Roy Robertson Harris is still there. Bullard, I think they've said they thought he took a step up last year. But I'm thinking, the defensive line doesn't. I don't think have as much depth. Outside linebacker is a big question. Fuller and Amukamara were fine last year. Who knows if they can replicate it this year? Safety, which they always talk about, I think might have been one of your more solid positions, and probably still is, with Amos and Jackson. So, but they continually talk about, Amos does not intercept the ball that much. Jackson makes more plays than Amos, but to me, I don't know, maybe I'm old school. I don't really think of safeties as being their number one job to intercept the ball. They have a lot of other responsibilities that are just as important as picking the passes off. That's more your corners. Honestly, I didn't think I would ever say this, but after reading a little bit about Jackson and Ward, I don't think I would be that unhappy if they chose one of those guys number one. Because Jackson is a super cover guy. Ward is super fast. And I personally don't – I'm hoping that Fuller and Amukamara play well. And they re-signed Cooper, which is really amazing after, his performance last year.
Mm-hmm.
But, I really think that, though, that's it looked pretty good last year, but you don't know if it's going to look good this year, the corners.
And it's all going to play out let's see. We're taping this on the 18th. The show's going to be on the 19th. It's all going to tape. It's all going to start to play out next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Okay. Well, I always love the draft. It's it's a hopeful time. You're always thinking that the guy you get or the guys you get are going to work out. I at least I do. And be fun to see who takes who.
Yeah, and it'll always be fun to watch because there'll always be the trade or the surprise.
There always is. No doubt about it.
And to me, I think the wild card looking in here is what the Giants are going to do. If they decide to take a running back.
Yeah.
If they take a running back instead of a quarterback, and I don't even know who, like we said, I don't even know who, I can't even remember who Eli's backup was.
Well, I think it was Geno Smith last year, but he's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah.
That's right. It was Geno Smith. He was one of those that played for both teams in New York.
Yeah. Probably glad to get out of there.
They're probably glad, yeah. But if they take a running back, it's going to be interesting to see what repercussions that has down the line.
Well, I've seen some talk, too, where it's possible that the Browns might take a running back because I think they got the first and fourth pick,
They've got the first and fourth pick. I mean, they could easily take Barkley as number one.
Yeah, they could, which then is going to, that would actually make it really interesting because then who are the Giants going to take after that?
The Giants are going to be forced then. They're going to have to look at a quarterback.
Yeah. Well, you would think. I don't know obviously we don't know them well enough to know what other issues they have, but QB, it's and as you said, with Manning being 37 and coming off of a bad year.
Subpar year.
Yeah.
He didn't really have any talent around him, and he had a coach that he had a head coach that I wasn't quite sure knew what he was doing.
Yeah, I remember I saw one of the Giants. I don't know who they were playing, but the Mannings are pretty professional about things, obviously. And Eli, some of his reactions to what was going on in the field that day were like, I can't believe I see, because the receiver would drop the ball or go the wrong way, and he'd be like, what the, he'd be looking like, what the heck, So, which is pretty unusual.
All right. Well, let's see. We didn't get into the Hawks. I saw
Richard Panik
got arrested.
But it was,
I
saw the
I believe he
article.
was a bit overserved. It kind of implied that.
Yeah. So that might be one of the reasons that he's not in Chicago anymore, though, too.
That could be. We have no postseason winter sports to talk about here.
Not a blessed thing.
The ice has been melted. We could talk about the Wolves, but I haven't gone out to see a Wolves game in so long. They're in the playoffs.
Did you see Dwayne Wade went off for like 26 or 28 points in the second game of the Miami series?
Yeah.
He can do that once in a while.
Once in a while,
not on a regular basis.
No, once in a while, the old guy can crank it up, and it kind of makes me, makes me sit and think: do we go through for the winter sports? Do we have to go through a whole long season just to finally get to the playoffs and get good quality play?
Well, did we talk about this last time? I was Mark Bruno put something on Facebook. It showed clips from the 80s in the NBA, and it was all this physical action, and just saying, decrying the fact that, Jesus, the NBA is sort of really slipped in terms of physicality and defense. And I replied to him, and I said, I happened to watch a Bucks-Clippers game one night. And Jim, it was basically, and I'm not denigrating the talent is obviously professional talent, yeah. Okay, but it was playground ball. There was basically no defense at all. It was like up and down. I mean, I see guys take shots, Jim, even in the playoffs. I was watching a little bit. I think it was the Bucks and the Celtics last night, and a guy will come down. And there's absolutely nobody under the basket of his, in his uniform. And he'll fire up a three-pointer, miss, and guess who's got the rebound? The other team. I mean, and it happens all the time.
It happens in college ball too.
Yeah,
and it's happening more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder with some of the coaches what they're thinking in there. I mean, I thought about that. I was trying to follow during the season, during the end of the NCAA tournament when Michigan State got eliminated. I'm trying to follow the game because I was in the office that day. I'm following the game on Yahoo Sports and looking at the play-by-play. And all I'd see is, and so-and-so comes down, Michigan State gets the rebound. So-and-so Bridges fires up 27-foot three-pointer.
Yeah.
Misses. And going back again. And I'm going, can somebody drive the lane? I mean, you still have time. Can somebody drive the lane, put it up, draw the foul?
I was watching a Bulls game one night, Jim, on this, along the same line of thinking, and Stacey King was, and the Bulls, I think, were losing, so somebody comes up and pulls up to hit, and it was close.
Yeah.
Somebody pulls up, misses a three, and Stacey's like, you know what? It's close. You need a bucket here. If you can't get the three, a good shot on the three, what's wrong with, like you said, driving or, a 2-point
drive the lane or pull up.
You need a bucket somewhere.
Or pull up at the free throw line and a 15-footer.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's and he was, he made mention of that. He said, come on, you just need a bucket here. If you can't get the three, get the two. I'm like, I don't know. The thinking is really way out there.
Yeah, well, I think we're just too old school, Rich. I think that's it.
Hey, some things just make sense, though.
Some things do. And I think some things make sense, like us finishing up and getting out of here, because John was falling asleep.
Look at John.
Yes, you were, Davida. Your eyes were closed.
He's already got that FedEx package waiting to put the tape in right to the Broadcast Museum Hall of Fame.
You were asleep in there, Davida. I could see you napping. Yeah, it's the old I was resting my eyes routine. I know. My grandmother used to use that, too. All right, time for us to get out of here. We'll do this again in a couple of weeks, and maybe we'll actually prepare for something. And
that's a laugh.
That'll be a laugh. But, hey, it can happen. It can happen.
Miracles do happen.
Miracles can happen. In the meantime, one other thing, reminder, if you're listening to us and you're a class of 69 at Ridgewood, find Mary Georgianis on Facebook, because we've got
Georgianis Waldron.
Mary Georgianis Waldron. Find her on Facebook, because we are starting to plan for our reunion, our 50th reunion, and there'll be a get-together on May 4th. So find that out and get all the details. Until the next time we get together, we are Taillights.
You have been listening to Armchair Experts from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Thursday, April the 19th on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norge and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network with Jim Leon and Rich Massaro. This broadcast was directed by John DeVita, and our special thanks to radio station manager Kevin Zeflik of WRHS FM Norwich and the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Chikondo. This broadcast was pre-recorded on Wednesday, April the 18th, the year 2018. Until next time, please be safe, and thanks for listening. And this is Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich, Illinois.